So, whenever I drink, I lose my ability to do differential calculus. I guess it's true what they say. Don't drink and derive like derivations. Look, you think you've got it bad that you have to listen to these terrible jokes. For every video that I do, I have to do about 4 jokes, and then I pick the best one in the edit, so you can imagine what the other ones are like, right? Shut up. Today we're going to cover 10 weird things that I used to do when I was drinking that I thought were normal, but were actually alcoholism. And feel free to add your own in the comments just for fun. Brothers, sisters, comrades and friends, welcome to Bat Country. Why did I do that? This is a personal list, right, of just 10 randomly picked things that I personally used to do myself when I was drinking. And now that I've said that, I realise that I don't know if it's going to be 10 in the edit. So I'm going to, once I finish saying this, I'm going to have to look at the camera and then just say all the numbers from 1 to 10 and then edit the correct number in seamlessly. 10. And I'm sure no one will notice. This video is a mess already. Let's just get started. It's too late to do something different now. First, buying myself extra drinks at the bar. So there's a couple of variations of this. So when it was my turn to buy a round, if we were in the pub or the bar with a big group of friends, when it was my turn to buy the round, I would get myself like a tax drink for the pleasure of buying a round. So I would go up to the bar and I would say, I don't know, like 6 beers plus a shot of whiskey. And that shot was just for me, just for the privilege of buying a round. And that kind of has a life of its own a little bit, because it just started like that. Every time I bought a round, I would buy an extra drink for myself. But it kind of gathered momentum, right? Because eventually I would find myself buying myself extra drinks just when I was going to the toilet and back. On the way to the bathroom, I would pass the bar, ask for a drink, go to the toilet, come back, drink the drink, go back to my friends. I thought I was just like, I don't know, keeping my drunken energy up, keeping my drunk energy up. There should have been like People's Republic of China-sized red flags early on in my drinking for that kind of behaviour. But at the time, it felt normal. Now I can see that it was alcoholism. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way, if you would like to, if you kind of enjoy this kind of content. Always forget to say it, and I now have a post-it note on my camera that says like and subscribe to remind me to say it. There's also a Patreon and loads of social media. All the links are in my description. Let's continue. Next is taking the longest, slowest route home so that I could drink. But any time that I would finish work, if I had no plans that evening, I would deliberately pick the longest, slowest way home so that I could buy like a little flask of whiskey or vodka and just drink that on a long meander home. I used to enjoy it. There's a word for it. I used to consider myself a flaneur. And flaneur is a kind of poetic name for someone who likes to wander around cities and enjoy the atmosphere and the culture. And that's kind of what I thought I was doing. But really, it was just an excuse to not go home. Because once I got home, generally the drinking had to stop. So I would just finish work and then wander the streets with alcohol in my inside pocket or in my laptop bag or whatever. And I used to think that was romantic. I used to think that was cool and interesting and kind of bohemian and all of that stuff. But really, it was just alcoholism. It was just that period between finishing work and getting home would get longer and longer, week by week, because really, well, I don't have to tell an audience like this what that really was. It's just an excuse to get drunk. Next is drinking before an event where there will be drinking, just to settle my social anxiety. And I was a bad one for this. This was a big one for me. If I had like a social event at say 8 p.m. On any given night with a big group of people, then I would feel the urge to leave my house at 6:30 so that I had time to have a few drinks before I got there. And it didn't even have to be big, sophisticated social events. Not that I was ever invited to any of those. It didn't have to be groups of strangers. It could just be my regular friends or colleagues or whatever it was. I would need 45 minutes to an hour before I arrived to get tipsy so that I could face the social exchanges, the social interactions. I would turn up inevitably late and drunk for everything. It was completely my thing. Everybody expected it. And because it became my thing, I just assumed it was kind of normal, or it was part of my identity. And I wasn't an alcoholic. I was kind of aloof. Fucking dumb. But now, of course, in sobriety, looking back, it was alcoholism. I had to drink to prepare myself to drink. Like, we called it pre-gaming, right? We give it this cutesy name. You pre-game with your friends. It's unhealthy. It's unwise. It's unethical. I'm not sure about that last one, but it's a lot of things. It's definitely ungood and unsober. And I think that was a big clue that I was an alcoholic. Next up is expecting everybody around me and everybody that I was out with to want to drink as hard as I was drinking. It was expecting everybody to think the purpose of drinking is to get drunk, because that's what I thought. And some of the things I've said in this video already make it seem like I was a social alcoholic, and really I wasn't ever that. I mean, I was socializing and I was drunk, but my drinking was a little bit more like the sole purpose of alcohol was to get as drunk as possible. That's it. I wasn't drinking socially. I wasn't sociable. It was just the social event was an excuse to be able to drink high volumes of alcohol. That's all, to me. And I used to get frustrated when people would drink slow. I wanted everybody to want to get blasted like I did. I wanted everybody to obliterate themselves in the same way that I did. To the point that I would be quite devious and manipulative. That is not really, not like in a sinister way, but, well, I guess in a sinister way now that I think about it. But if people were drinking slow, I would offer to buy everybody drinks. I would increase the rate of drinking of the entire group just to kind of validate my own trajectory towards drunkenness, towards absolute blackout, falling over, unconscious drunkenness. Because I wanted everybody else to do that. Because I wanted to feel normal. And by kind of encouraging everybody else to get smashed, it made my own smashedness more acceptable, more justifiable. And I used to think that was normal. And then I got sober, and now I realize that it was just alcoholism. Next up, thinking any holiday or break or special event was purely an excuse to get hammered. That's all it was, whether it's a football game or it's an actual week off work and flying to a destination. Until I was about 36, every opportunity was just about drinking. Everything. And that started young for me. When I was 16, I hate to admit this because it's embarrassing, but when I was 16, I flew to Magaluf. It was my first real holiday without my parents, and I went with a big group of friends to Magaluf in Spain when that was the hot thing to do. And I'm not exaggerating here. I remember arriving at Heathrow to fly out, and I remember arriving at Heathrow to go home, and fuck all in between. Almost nothing. I have almost no memory of those 8 days that I spent in that wretched town. And that never left me, that habit of being away from home and doing nothing but getting blasted. It just never ever went away until I got sober. Any time I was travelling, like on a train or on a flight, or if there was anything to celebrate, it was all only about alcohol. It was if it was a bank holiday, it was an excuse to be slammed Saturday and Sunday, so I could recover on the Monday. And I would usually drink on the Monday anyway. And anything, just any excuse, any holiday was an excuse, was about being drunk. That was the purpose for me. I used to think that's how everybody thought. And then I got sober, and then I realised it was just alcoholism. The next one's kind of a nuanced one, and it's about being irritated anytime somebody pointed out something embarrassing that I'd said or done while I was drunk. Now, I used to think that was normal. I used to think that everybody got spiky and irritable when someone pointed out the fact that they said something stupid the night before. Or that maybe it was just part of my character that I don't like to be criticised or something. Like, I don't like to be made fun of. I don't know. But what I'm talking about here is something deeper than that. So bear with me while I try to think this one out with you. What I'm talking about is if you've said something like hurtful, or you've done something really stupid when you were drunk, and then the next day, or a few days later, someone pointed out to you, like, do you remember that thing that you said? Or do you remember when you did that thing when you were really, really hammered? And even if they're laughing about it, if they're saying it to me, it made me feel very uncomfortable, and I used to get irritable and change the subject really, really fast. And I don't think that is part of my personality. I don't mind people taking the piss out of me, or look at me, how could I? What I didn't like was that it revealed my relationship with alcohol. It revealed an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. When somebody was talking about something I had done as a consequence of drinking, it made me vulnerable to criticism of my drinking. And because by the time I was an alcoholic, the drinking was absolutely the most important thing in my life, those criticisms, even if they're meant in good nature, are like fundamental attacks on your constitution, on your basic integrity, because the alcohol is so important in your life. That's what was happening to me. So when I was getting spiky, that people wanted to tease me about dumb shit that I'd said when I was drunk, it wasn't because I'm a very precious or like a thin-skinned person. It was because it was scratching at my dangerous relationship with alcohol. And I didn't want that to be exposed. That's why I was getting irritable. Like I said, this is a personal list. This probably doesn't apply to everybody, but that's me. And it's taken me a long time in sobriety to realise that reaction that I was having when people were talking about what I'd done when I was drunk, that reaction is alcoholism. The next one, this one's a bit of a mouthful, but it is, I kind of mentioned it already. It is spending far more money on an ordinary evening than I should do because I'm buying everybody else drinks. Normally, like if you go out with your friends on a normal evening, who knows? Who knows? I don't have to add qualifiers anymore because you know when I say normal, who really knows? But like an average night out between a group of friends might be 4 beers or 6 glasses of wine or whatever, 4 or 5 Jack and Cokes or something. And that would cost, 24 quid in the UK, like $20 for yourself in Europe. 20 euros, I should say. But I would be spending 35 or 40 on an ordinary night, even if I wasn't getting hammered. Because I would be buying drinks to get other people drunk. I'd be trying to deflect away from my own drinking by encouraging the entire group to drink faster, or to drink harder, or to drink stronger drinks. I was never the person who was like, let's all do shots. I was more the person like, I'm going to get another round. I'll just get you all in and then you'll have them, and you can have them if you want them. But you don't have to. But secretly, I was hoping that everybody else gets leathered with me, so that it would give me an excuse to get leathered. Gross, and at the time I think people thought, well, he's a generous guy. Well, look at Stu, look at Bad Country, he's a nice guy throwing his money around because he likes hanging out with us. No, it was alcoholism. Sorry. Next up is choosing drinks based on their strength. The main motivating factor for me choosing a drink when I was in alcoholism was the alcohol by gram to pound or euro. Like how much alcohol can I get for the least amount of money, basically. And when that's your primary metric for what you're choosing to drink, there really is only one winner there, and it's like Popov vodka. You know, it's the kind of vodka they sell at the till. Who cares what the name is? We have no loyalty, do we? Our loyalty is to the alcohol molecule itself. It doesn't matter the format or the branding. Next up, being proud of being a big drinker, of having a high tolerance, of being a hard drinking, big bearded, tattooed, liquor, whiskey drinking, fighting fake teeth guy. Yeah, dumb, stupid. Just unforgivably stupid. I used to be very proud of how much I could drink. Like, I used to do drinking tricks where you would get, like, at the start of the night, you would take a half-litre bottle of vodka or like a third litre, whatever it is, and just chug it in one, and that would be your starting drink. I used to do that. And I bought into the same kind of macho bullshit as everybody else, that your worth as a man is linked to how much liquor you can handle. And in sobriety, I realised that is not the worth of a man, that is alcoholism. And I'm glad to have left it behind. Okay, and then another one. Planning the hangover. Alright, so part of me used to romanticize hangovers. This is like when I was in my late 20s, because after that age, after about 30, your relationship with hangovers changes pretty fast, and they become miserable. But there was a while where I'd be in relationships or dating or something, and part of my love of drinking would also be the day after, where you lose a day just on a Sunday, lying in bed, eating ice cream, watching shit, having sex, and doing nothing. And I used to think that was normal, to just be okay, to even look forward to losing a day of the week, just to recover from drinking. Now in sobriety, I realised that was all in service of romanticizing the alcohol itself. And it wasn't about feeling kind of lethargic and sleepy on a Sunday. It was actually about romanticizing the drink. Now I recognize that even my fondness for lazy hungover Sundays, even that was alcoholism. So there we go. That was 10 weird things that I used to think were normal, but were actually alcoholism. Alcoholism kind of in disguise. As we all know, alcohol is a very insidious substance, and alcoholism is a very insidious set of behaviours and compulsions that will not just deceive you, but will also make you deceive yourself, that things that should be warning signs to you, alcoholism will make you believe that they are normal, that they're part of your identity, or that you need them in some way in order to feel complete. And it's really only until it's been a long time, until you've finished drinking, that you start to see those lies as the stupidity that they were. It's a little bit like leaving a toxic relationship that you would defend at the time, and you tell your parents, like, no, you just don't understand them, they're good for me, like, we work together, and I know it looks chaotic, but really it works, we're like opposites of each other and stuff. But then you look back, after that relationship has broken down, like 5 years later, you're able to look back and you go, fuck me. That was a web of deceit and lies and self-rationalization and post-rationalization and defending the indefensible. And that's what alcohol is like. Once you break yourself free of it, all of the lies that you've been telling yourself, they kind of, for a while, you feel quite stupid for believing it. And I feel quite stupid for believing all of the things I just told you about. Because any rational observer would say, hang on, that behaviour is awful. And if you don't do something about it, it's going to kill you. Anyway, if you've made it this far, this was a bit of a waffle and a bit of a disorganised video, but if you've made it this far, do like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you would like more Bat Country, then go to the patreon.com/BatCountrySober webpage and join the community over there. And if you would like some kind of structure towards your sobriety, and I highly recommend checking out the Better Without Booze app. That's betterwithoutbooze.me. Go and have a look over there and see if it's for you. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, good luck out there.